Hello MythGuardians, Cool Cat here with the new deck for MythGuard. It's a mono purple list featuring the 3 Shinobis that are found in the purple colors. So we're going to go ahead and hop into the deck list, and then we're going to hop into some replays, and then finish it out with a little conclusion at the end of the video. So let's go ahead and hop into this deck list. Alright, so first things first, we're going to head into the path and the power. For the path, I went with Turn of Seasons. The healing of the minions and the extra draw is going to be key to this deck and our board control plan. I went with this over something like Journey of Souls because we don't really want to bounce our smaller minions back into our hands. What we really want to be doing is digging deeper into our deck so that we can reach our Pentacle of Flavors, our late game bombs, and different things like that. And then for the power, of course, I went with Impel. Impel is an amazing board control tool which fits very well into our plan. It works great with all of the Shinobis. It works great with Pentacle of Flavors. It's just an overall insane tool for this deck so that we can, swing around any blockers or even, swing into some different minions to control the board a little more than an average deck would need to, an average aggro deck would need to. And then a couple of the card options. I'm not going to go over everything, just the the main meat of the deck. So of course you have to start it off with the MVP is going to be the Shinobi of Wind. This card is insane. The teleport with the Impel can pretty much get around anything to guarantee that breach effect goes off, which you'll see a very good amount of that in one of the replays that we're going to be sharing. And it's just running 4 copies. I'm running a full play set to guarantee that I draw one in most, if not all of my games, just because it's that strong. And then you have the Shinobi of Smoke, which is going to be, I believe, the second best Shinobi. This card is amazing when paired with the Pentacle of Flavors, which we'll go over in just a second. Not taking the retaliatory damage when attacking is just amazing when it comes to bringing down those big beefy guys. Throw a debuff on the enemy or a buff on the Shinobi, and it just really takes care of some sticky board states on the enemy's side. And then you have the Shinobi of Fire. I'm running the least amount of this one. It's going to be the weakest of the 3 options, but it definitely still has its uses, as I'm going to outline in a replay that we go over. But that Flame Scroll 2-mana deal 3 to the opponent's really good to burn. With the Agile, it's really good with the Pentacle of Flavors as well. So you can, instead of swinging for that 1 base damage, you're going to be hitting with the 5 blast that the Pentacle of Flavors provides. So I'm going to be running 3 copies of that. We don't want to run a full play set because it's not nearly as important as some other options that I have in here. And then the Pentacle of Flavors is going to be a very, very key card for this type of list. Very board control heavy with the Blast 5, Slayer 4, and the Armor and the Regen really help to allow you to take some real dirty trades and get away unscathed at the end of your turn with the Regen 3. And then moving forward, we have another key card in this deck, the Rogue Vocaloid. It's pretty much just soft removal, against some Reanimator decks. Throw this in front of their, their Reanimation or their Recursion, so that their big thing that they pulled out just comes out pretty much useless with the 0 strength. And then the Blast 3 is going to be pretty cool to clear some wider style deck lists, some orange tokens maybe, and it's just a very good card in most matchups. And then we're also running the jin-sook dollmaster. It's some good removal, and then it can also get some stuff out of the way to trigger your breach effects, move some stuff in line for your Shinobi of Smoke. Get the -2/-2 can kill a lot of stuff, even, at turn 6 or later when you're able to get this down. It's still going to be very useful. And then we also are running the Celestial Dragon, amazing tempo play, 6-mana 8/8 with Agile, so it's going to be getting around anything, any board state with the Impel. You can move it around, throw a Pentacle on there, and it's pretty much game from that point. It's very hard to take down with that 8 toughness, you know, and with the pentacle regen 3 is going to make it that much more difficult if you're able to pull it off. The downside on here is the Ring of Eternity, 3 mana, give a minion, friendly minion, +1/+1, and immortal. That goes to your opponent. So that won't be too helpful for you, you know, but if you're slamming this guy down, chances are it's going to be game over, whether it lives or dies. You know, so it's just a really great card to swing the game back into your favor. We have some hard removal and Spirit Away in case you want to get around any tough blockers that you're not able to deal with your current board state. And then, you know, we have our Misfortune here, which is going to be the debuff that works very well with the Shinobi of Wind, turning that breach into deal 5 to a minion, deal 2 to face. It's just insane. That's some good spot removal, and it comes right back to your hand so that you can do it again next turn or even in the same turn if you have the mana and gems available. And then for our early game, we have the typical 4 Racer and Shadows. We have our Simuzens for the healing potions to make some really efficient trades. Sniffer's okay to have. I run 1. I could be running 2. I run 1 because the compass really helps to smooth out your draws, you know, but playing a 1/1 on 1 is not that great when it comes to tempo. So I try to keep that down and just have it, you know, if I ever do need the draw smoothing. And it's also just really easy card to burn for mana as well if you don't need it. And then the Knives in the Dark are really great on the Wind Shinobi to let you get through some little cheeky guys and then still swing that damage face to get that breach effect. And then other than that, it's just going to be some pretty standard purple stuff. You have your Muttonmorphosis, you know, to remove some of their other big guys, you know, or any effects that you don't really want to deal with. You have your Sword Saints. That Biting Blade is going to be very, very key to keep your life total up into a safe range. It also allows you to trade up a little bit on some minions, you know, do a bunch of really cool stuff. I run 1 of the compulsory Curse, deal 3 damage to adjacent minions on demise. So you throw that down on the enemy side, clear 1 of their guys, and then it just clears the other 2 adjacent lanes. And then to close it all out, we have our Lantern Colossus. I go back and forth on this card. It's not the best when it comes to a big drop, but a 5/7 overrun is really good to close out games, you know, when you really need it. And then the Immolation Cloak is really good to make sure that, you know, you are staying free from blockers so that they can't just chump you all day long. So that is the list. Let's go ahead and hop into some replays and get some action going. Alright, so this first replay is really going to show the strength of the Shinobi of Wind as well as the Shinobi of Smoke. So we'll go ahead and just watch now and then go over what we're doing here. So first thing we notice, we have 3 of our Shinobi of Winds in hand right now. We're probably not going to be playing all 3 of them, you know, so that's a really safe burn. You know, if you ever pull any duplicates, really it's a safe burn with this deck. So we're probably going to burn a Shinobi of Wind here and then pass the turn because we don't have any 1-drops in hand. So we notice they are playing red-blue, which is probably going to be something to do with enchantments. We pull the Sniffer. We're going to burn the Sniffer and then drop our Yojimbo here, which is going to be a 1-for-1 trade on this Thane that the opponent had played. Unless, of course, they have a buff for it, which you know they do, so they kill that for free, essentially. But we pull another Shinobi of Wind, which again, we're not going to need 3, so we burn 1 of our other ones, drop 1 down, unblocked up to the side. You know, so this placement here, they essentially have to throw something in one of these 3 lanes and something in this lane as well. So they have to drop 2 things for 4 mana, which I don't believe this color combination can do, at least not with their current hand setup from what we've seen, you know, with their past moves. So it looks like they're going to just drop something to try to block. Oh no, they're not even going to try to block. They just drop the the worm right in the middle there. So what that tells me is that they're waiting for it to die for some reanimation effects moving forward into the game. So moving forward, we cast the Misfortune on the 4/5 so that we can get the Shinobi Breach to kill it and then deal 2 more damage face. Burn the Sword Saint and drop the Simuzen to block that 4/4, which kind of is unnecessary. We don't really care too much about 4 damage early on, but if they do take that trade, that'll give us a really easy Shinobi passive or breach effect to trade that off. And it looks like they are going for the recursion effects with this Junkyard Valhalla, which means that they will be getting a one of the Thanes back, the 2/3 in this lane, which I'm not too concerned about. A 2/3 is fairly easy to deal with, especially with the Shinobi of Wind already set up and going off. And then, you know, we also are going to be able to drop this back alley Ronin at the 6/5 level, right in the middle lane, really show our dominance. And then they play their Demolition Speedway. They're looking to buff some stuff up and get some overrun through. We're really ahead in this game. They're completely out of cards. They have a single Ignition, which they burn with their Divination. And if you notice, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 real cards, 1 potion, so that we can free trade this back alley Ronin into the with the knives into the 4/2. So that we can just swing that 6 face, get the Shinobi over to the left side of the board, and then get that breach off. So they see fire our Ronin. They're still out of cards. I'm not too worried about a 4/3. And then, you know, looking at their graveyard, they will have this Tailroot Worm coming down over here into the Valhalla, which, again, I'm really not worried about with our current setup. We have 28 health. They're down to 12. We have nothing but gas in our hands. And I do still have that Misfortune to easily take down the Tailroot Worm and still be pushing some damage face. So we cast it there just so that we can get that cleared off the board, get it back in our hand, and then we'll throw down the Sword Saint so that we can get the Bitey Blade for the extra possible trade damage to kill that 6/6. So they finally clear off our Shinobi of Wind, which isn't too big of a deal. We have 1 more in hand, and then we can Misfortune, Racer, Bitey Blade to clear off their Worm, which, you know, is very efficient trade and still get that 2 damage face, swing that face, and then it looks like this is just going to be GG right here. The Ignition to remove that, which is fine. Drop the Worm. It looks like they're trying to set that up to die as well. With the Vocaloid pool, we're going to throw that right in front of the Worm so we don't have to worry about it dying. Then we're also just going to drop our Smoke Shinobi to be able to bounce over and kill that 2/2 for free, or just swing face for lethal. With the Pentacle of Flavors, we'll be able to clear this no problem. And then also with the Misfortune, we can clear the Worm if we want to, but we're not really too worried about it. Just keep that soft removed there by bouncing around. So they tried to clear this. They tried to clear the Shinobi of Smoke with the Ignition, but that Armor 1 from the Pentacle of Flavors lets it live at 1 health, leaving us with free win here with our Focus that we got, Focus 2. Swinging Face is going to close out the game with the Racer and Shadow we just pulled up. So we'll throw that in, move it over to an unblocked lane so that we can throw in the Racer, and that's game. So that really shows you the power of the Shinobi of Wind and Smoke, just really outlining the strengths there. And then we'll hop into one more replay where we can show off the Shinobi of Fire. Alright, so this game I'm going to show you guys the power of Shinobi of Fire. We are playing against Monochrome Valkyries piloted by Nutkaze. It's basically just a mono blue Valkyrie deck, very aggressive, low to the floor, but we have a lot of options for our early game, dropping the Simuzen down turn 1. We have double Racer and Shadows to clear any early stuff that they drop. We have our Yojimbo in case we get overwhelmed and need a defender, so I'm not too worried about their early game. So they drop their scout. I go ahead and just burn one racer, play the other one to clear it off, and then drop my other Simuzen there so that I can just keep the pressure on. Really keep the Valkyrie deck on the back foot where they're the weakest. And then they play their Thane, which Thane is very good at keeping the early board states under control. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drop my fire down on the far side and just move my other Simuzens out of the way. There's no point in letting them clear it for free. This might get me 2 extra face damage. Alright, so they drop their Road Queen, which buffs their other Valkyries. I don't have any other Valkyries, so what I'll do, I'll move my fire out of the way, drop my Rogue Vocaloid, kind of pretty much just neutralize this Road Queen, you know, do 2 damage to her real quick. And then they clear off my Simuzen there, and then they drop their Bragi. Bragi's a very, very efficient card. It is warded, so it's going to be really hard for me to clear off because I can't clear it with my blast. So what I do, I just choose to kind of ignore it. I drop my Sword Sand in front of it so it's not clearing any of my guys. I do decide to go ahead and buff up my Vocaloid to clear that off so that I can get the damage face. I heal it back up with one of my potions for my Simuzen, and now I'm just going to start stacking Flame Scrolls. These bad boys do 3 damage each, so they can get a lot of work done on the face. And they do drop the Magnus on my fragile board, which is super scary. They pretty much cleared everything here, so we kind of have to regroup. I'm definitely going to keep up with my my Shinobi of Fire. Just keep pinging that face, stacking up these Flame Scrolls, and then I'll drop down a back alley Ronin. 4 mana, 6/5, very efficient stats, and that'll block at least 2 of their guys. I burn my Racer because 2 damage isn't really going to help too much in any situation here. And of course they have the God's Blood so that they can clear the Ronin at no cost. Their Bragi's just going to heal right back up with the regen. And I just start taking damage face. So I'm kind of in a bind right here. I'm still stacking Flame Scrolls, so I just move my Vocaloid over to neutralize this Bragi, and possibly also, you know, neutralize the Magnus so I don't get any more face damage. Drop the Shinobi of Wind so that I can just keep the pressure up and keep dropping as much damage to their face, because I'm really just on the back foot and board control wise, and I just really need to start burning stuff down. And then they drop the Speedway to clear off my Vocaloid, and now they're just really pressing face. But I have 3 Flame Scrolls in my hand, that's 9 damage. And they drop the 4/5. So it's kind of a rough spot I'm in. So what I do, I teleport my Shinobi of Wind right in front of the Magnus, throw down my Knives in the Dark on it so that I clear the Magnus, and then I'll go ahead and swing that face through the Magnus, and then deal my 2 damage to face because I'm really on a burn plan right now. So now I have enough damage to fully kill him in my hand right now. So if they don't have any lethal or if they don't have any heals, then they are just completely out of luck. I keep my Shinobi of Wind right there, right in the middle here, so that they can't get any more face damage. They can send the 4/5 into the 1/2, or they can move it over and just do 4 to the face, but I'm really not too worried about 4 to the face when I'm at 13 and I have lethal in hand. And they recognize that and they are out, and that just really shows the power of the Shinobi of Fire, stacking up those Flame Scrolls and really just getting that last bit of burn damage in. So that is the list. Where the list does lack in raw power, it really makes up for it in little smart outplays that you can do, you know, with the impel on the Shinobis and different things with the pentacle of flavors, you know, just really outplaying your opponent and using the minion efficiency to make sure that you do get the most out of each card that you play. Instead of just ramming face with the same big guy every turn, you know, it gives you more freedom to move around the board, really use the lane mechanics to your advantage with the blast and the breach effects and different things like that. You know, so give it a shot. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Like if you like, and always remember, GG from Matt.